Hi everybody, my name is Alex Bogart, and this is going to be about a 15 to 20 minute deep stretch for your lower body. And so if you are a runner, or if you work out, or you're just very tense on the lower half of your body from your hips all the way down, this practice will be a great way to stretch out the lower half of your body pre or post workout to help you in your recovery. So we're going to go ahead and get started here and stretching out our hamstrings. So straighten out your legs here in front of you. And you're going to flex your feet. We're going to come into what we call a seated forward fold. And with your feet flexed, I want you, before we hinge forward, to bring your hands down by your side. And just notice your spine here. Try to find length here into the spine. So imagine you're trying to reach the crown of the head up high towards the ceiling, melting your shoulders down, and then hinge from the hips, trying not to round the upper back just yet. Hinging forward, walk your hands towards the feet. And then continue to hinge until you find that lovely stretch into the hamstrings and lower back. And once you get there, allow your chin to fall towards your chest. Now, as you're in these poses, I want you to close your eyes and deepen your breath. Trying to relax your shoulders away from the ears. Noticing in your body, where are you feeling tension? Send your breath there. And each exhale, try to relax just a little bit more. Two more deep breaths. And one more. On your next inhale, slowly walk your hands back towards you. Rise and bring the soles of your feet to touch for a butterfly pose. Now we're going to play around with the distance where our feet is from our groin. I want you to start by spreading the feet, pushing them further away from you here. So you're going to have this very tall diamond shape with the legs. Now again, I want you to gaze forward. Find length in the spine by reaching your crown of the head high towards the ceiling. Shoulders stay melted down. And on your next exhale, begin to hinge forward from the hips. Keep the upper back straight. Find your edge. You're going to feel this stretch in your outer thighs. Bring your chin towards your chest. Breathing here into wherever you feel tension. Try to relax the shoulders away from the ears. Two more deep breaths. And one more. On your next inhale, slowly rise, walking your hands back towards you. Your feet are going to stay touched. This time, bring your feet a little closer towards your groin. Now again, remember, nice straight spine here. Shoulders relaxed, beginning to hinge forward from the hips, not rounding into the upper back just yet. This time, we're going to feel the stretch here on the inner thighs. And then chin to chest. Trying to relax your knees down towards the floor just a little bit more. Two more deep breaths. And one more. On your next inhale, slowly rise and bring your legs out to a letter V shape here. Now, before we hinge forward, we're going to stretch these inner thighs. Again, I want you to notice your feet. So your feet are going to be pointing up towards the ceiling. They're going to stay flexed. Sitting up tall, gaze forward, shoulders relaxed down. Slowly reach your hands up high towards the ceiling and begin to hinge forward from the hips, not rounding into the upper back. Plant your hands down to the floor. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Shoulders are relaxed and continue to walk those hands forward till you find that lovely stretch here in those inner thighs, and then allow your chin to fall towards your chest. Now notice your feet as you're here in this wide-legged fold. You want your toes to stay pointing towards the ceiling, keeping your feet flexed. And we like to flex our feet here in these deep stretch classes, so that way you're protecting your knees. Keeping your shoulders relaxed. 2 more deep breaths. One more. Now on your next inhale, walk your hands back towards you. We're going to come into a tabletop, so hands and knees. Bending into those knees, bringing your wrists directly under your shoulders. Your knees are directly under your hips. Make sure the tops of your feet are on the floor. We're going to bring some movement to the spine for a cat and cow. On your inhale, drop your belly, gaze high. Exhale, lower, round the back, chin to chest. Inhale to cow, drop the belly, gaze high. Exhale to cat. 2 more times. Inhale to cow. Exhale, cat. 1 more. Inhale to cow. Exhale, cat. Find this neutral spine. We're going to come into downward facing dog to stretch your hamstrings. Tuck your toes. Begin to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. You're pressing your upper body back towards the tops of the legs and send your gaze between your feet. Now from here, I want you to notice your feet. They stay hip distance apart. Melt your heels down towards the floor as you continue to press your chest towards the legs. Breathing here if it feels good. Maybe you walk your dog, bending 1 knee at a time. Continuing to breathe deep and slow. Now from here, we're going to come into a lizard pose. It's one of my favorite poses to stretch hips and quads. So be really still in your dog. Press your upper body back towards the legs. Now you're going to take your right foot and you're going to step your right foot to the outside of your right hand, planting your hands down to the floor. Now from here, drop your left knee, untuck the left foot. If you want, you can walk that right foot to the right side of the mat. Come onto the razor side of the foot by dropping your right knee to the right. If you have a lot of flexibility within your hips, maybe you bring your forearms down to the floor. Just doing what feels good here. For me, keeping the forearms onto the floor actually doesn't feel that great. I have been getting back into running, and so my hips are pretty tight since I started running again. So I'm going to keep my hands still on the floor. Just breathing here. 2 more deep breaths. One more. So if you are on the razor side of that right foot, bring the sole of the foot back to the floor and then begin to walk your right foot towards the center of the mat, framing that right foot with your hands. We're going to come into a half split. So from here, you're going to begin to walk your hands back, bringing your glutes towards that left heel, and your right toes are going to pop up, toes pointing towards the ceiling, keeping that right foot flexed. As you stretch this right hamstring in a half split, you can fold over the right leg, bringing your chin to chest. We're not going to be here long. Two more deep breaths. One more. We're going to slowly move back into our downward facing dog. First, start by shifting forward, coming into a low runner's lunge. Hands frame the right foot. Tuck your left toes and lift the left knee and step back to downward facing dog. We're gonna do lizard and half split on the other side. So take your left foot. You're gonna step it to the outside of the left hand this time. Dropping your right knee, untuck the right foot. Imagine you're shifting your hips forward, feeling that stretch here, the left hip, the right quad. If it feels good, maybe you walk that left foot to the long side of the mat. Maybe you come onto the razor side of that foot by dropping the knee to the left. My left side is usually tighter than my right side, so even here it does not feel good. So I'm going to keep my sole of the foot onto the floor. If you want to go even further, maybe you bring your forearms down to the mat. But find your edge here and just breathe there, chin to chest. Two more deep breaths. One more. Now, if you're on the razor side of the foot, bring the sole of the foot back to the mat and walk your foot to center, framing the foot with your hands, coming into that half split here. So you're going to begin to walk your hands towards the back of the mat. Your glutes are melting down towards the right heel as your left toes point high towards the ceiling. You're going to fold over that leg, chin to chest, breathing into the left hamstring. Notice your left toes. Your toes are pointing high to the sky. Breathe here for 3 rounds of breath. Two more. And one more. Now very slowly, shifting forward, coming back into that low runner's lunge. The left foot plants, tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, and step back, downward facing dog. Look between your legs, pressing your upper body back towards the tops of the legs, spreading your fingers wide. Now we're going to come into another favorite hip stretch of mine. It's called pigeon pose. You're going to take your right leg and you're going to draw your right knee towards your right wrist, crossing that leg in front of you, and then straightening out the left leg behind you. Now, before we do anything else, I want you to turn around and look at the leg. You want your left hip, your knee, and your ankle to be in a straight line. So if you notice that the leg is kind of out to an angle, see if you can walk that foot back. Hip, knee, and ankle in a straight line here. Now, for some of you, if your hips are really tight, you're going to keep your hands directly onto the floor. Or maybe you have more mobility in your hips. Maybe you can bring your forearms down to the floor. If that still doesn't feel like enough, Maybe you extend your arms forward, fingers spread wide, and rest the forehead down towards the floor. I want you to pay close attention here, going slowly into any of these variations. You're not forcing yourself into a stretch. You're just honoring, where does your body want to be today? Now, once you find where it is you want to hang out for several breaths, I want you to notice your right foot here. Your right foot is flexed. Then notice your left foot. The top of the left foot is on the mat. Your toes are not tucked. Scanning your body, noticing where are you feeling the stretch, and send your breath there for 3 more deep breaths. Two more. One more. We're going to slowly make our way back to downward facing dog. So plant your hands onto the floor. You're going to tuck your left toes, lift that knee up, and press back to downward facing dog. We're going to do the same thing other side. You're going to take your left knee towards your left wrist, crossing the left leg in front of the body. Straighten out the right leg behind you. Again, before you do anything else, look behind you. Your right hip, right knee, right ankle in a straight line. Keeping the hands planted to the floor. Forearms can come to the floor or extend the arms forward. Close your eyes. Deepen your breath. Notice where it is that you are storing tension within your body. Send your breath there for 3 more deep breaths. Two more. And one more. Very slowly, we're going to come back to downward facing dog, pressing your hands into the mat to lift up. Tuck your right toes and lift the right knee as you press back, downward facing dog. Gaze between the legs. Press the upper body back towards the tops of the legs. Melt those heels down. Feel that stretch here in the hamstrings. And it's okay if your heels cannot touch the floor. That may mean that you just have very tight hamstrings and maybe you need to bend the knees just a little bit here. 2 more deep breaths in downward facing dog. And 1 more. We're going to come into our back. So drop your knees down towards the floor. Come into your bottom and extend your legs out in front of you. We're going to do a spinal twist with a variation of a leg extension to help stretch your hip and your IT band here. So go ahead and come down onto your back here. And I want you to draw your knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a hug. You're going to rock side to side, massaging your lower back into the floor. Then from here, we're going to take our arms out to a letter T. And I want you to notice your shoulders here as your arms are on the floor. Your shoulders are going to stay exactly where they are. They're not going to lift. They're not going to move. Imagine they're glued to the floor. Now, your knees and your feet are touching. And then allow your knees to fall to the left, keeping your right shoulder melted down towards the floor. Feel the stretch here on the upper back, in the lower back, in the spine. Now from here, we're going to come into a leg extension. And in yoga, we will call this pose a bind. So I want you to notice your right leg. You're going to keep that right foot flexed. Straighten out the right leg. Imagine you want to bring that right foot towards the left hand. And maybe the left hand can grab the foot. Maybe the hand can grab the ankle or the calf. Feeling that stretch here into the IT band. Maybe you look over towards your right hand. Three more deep breaths. 2 more. And 1 more. We're going to slowly release the right leg, stack the knees one on the other. Return your left arm to the floor. Use your core to roll back over slowly onto the back. And then drop your knees to the right. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Keeping your left shoulder melted to the floor. And then maybe you extend that left leg, your left foot flexed. Reaching that left foot towards the right hand, and maybe the hand can grab foot, ankle, or calf. Maybe you look over towards your left hand. Where do you feel tension? Send your breath there. Two more deep breaths. One more. Releasing the foot. Stack the knee on the other. And then use your core to roll back over onto your back. We're coming into happy baby. Have the soles of your feet look to the ceiling. And then wrap your arms around the legs, or hands can grab the feet. You're just pulling the knees in closer towards the armpits. Breathing here into the hips and the inner thighs. Two more deep breaths. And one more. Slowly bringing your feet to touch. Wrap your arms behind your legs and begin to rock forward and back along the spine. Coming back up to sit. And extend your legs out in front of you. Feet are flexed. We're going to do one final pose to stretch your hips one more time. And then we will be done here. So we're going to come into what we call a fire log pose or square pose. You're going to take your right ankle onto your left thigh. Now, if you have very tight hips, you may want to stay here. I'm going to show you the next step if you want to go there. You're going to bend to the bottom knee and bring that left ankle under the right knee. Imagine fire logs stacked one on the other on a lovely winter day. That is what the legs will look like. So if your top knee is lifted really high past your hip, that just means you have very tight hips. And I would recommend that you straighten out the bottom leg. Either way, no matter where you are here, sit up tall. If you want to stay here, stay here. If this feels great, just close your eyes and breathe through it. If you want to go a little further, begin to bring your hands to the floor. Nice straight spine and hinge forward from the hips. And then bring your chin towards your chest, planting those hands down in front of you. You're going to feel this in your right hip. Send your breath there. Two more deep breaths. And one more. Very slowly, we're going to rise and we're going to do it on the other side. So before we go to the other side, take your feet as wide as your yoga mat and windshield wiper your knees side to side, just to relieve some of that tension within the hips. Now, the next side that we're gonna do, our left side, our left hip, I don't want you to think about what you did on the right side because your right side is probably different than the left side. Most of the time, our flexibility is different in one side compared to the other. You're gonna notice me when I do the left side of fire lock pose that I keep my right leg extended. And that's just because, like I say, my left hip is a lot tighter than my right. So we're gonna get started here by straightening out those legs one more time. Keep your feet flexed. And then your left ankle is going to come onto the right thigh. It's very important you keep your feet flexed the entire time to protect your knees. Now I'm gonna stay like this. I'm only gonna demonstrate for just a moment, fire log, the full expression of the pose. You're gonna bend into that right knee, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like when I do it on this side. You'll notice when I bend into the right knee that my left knee is higher than the hip, which is no bueno. This can probably cause a lot of pain, discomfort, and injury if I force myself to go too deep. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna straighten out my bottom leg here. Sit up nice and tall to begin. And then we're gonna hinge forward from the hips, stretching this left hip here, keeping those feet flexed. Bring your chin to your chest. Relax those shoulders. 2 more deep breaths. One more. Now slowly rise and bring those feet as wide as your mat. We're gonna windshield wiper one last time. Go slow, go fast, do whatever feels good here. And then return to those crossed legs, sitting up tall. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. My name is Alex Bogart. Once again, this is our deep stretch yoga class. If you like this class, don't forget to like and also subscribe to Yoga with Alex Bogart. Don't forget to tell your friends. Follow me for more helpful tips and tricks to stretch your body, to relax your mind, and to find overall peace and wellness in this very crazy world that we live in. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope that you feel very relaxed. And I can't wait to guide you in another practice. Again, namaste, my friends. Peace.